Vero? Ehi, da brava.
Un'ammiratrice degli X-Men. Forse la metà delle cose è successa.
Sta attento. Voglio la bambina.
Quale?
No. No. No.
A man named Logan is shown at the start of the movie. He is a mutant and appears to be about 200 years old. And he's lost all of his abilities. He had become weak, and later it is revealed that he drives a taxi. He notices that there are no mutants. Baby was getting a new life. He remained alone, and seeks to alter himself. And in front of everyone, he acts like a normal person. One day, while driving a taxi, he took some people to a cemetery. He starts drinking something there. Meanwhile, a female nurse approaches him and says, "I want to tell you something." Logan ignores her and continues to drive his taxi. A businessman arrives later and takes a seat in his taxi. He informs Logan that the nurse that visited you. She has something I'm interested in. He gives him a business card with the word alkali written on it. It was an organization that experimented on mutants. Logan has also been subjected to experimentation there. And he returns to his home. 2 more mutants reside with him. A mutant who can judge any mutant and around. It indicates any mutant around him, the location of him. The other was quite old, in a wheelchair, and in poor health. After some time, he will require medication. Logan forgets to give him medicine one day, and he becomes gravely ill. His house began to tremor as well, and he was soon medicated by Logan. He injects him, and everything returns to normal after a while. Logan receives a ride request. When he sees the location and goes there, it was the same nurse he met in the graveyard. She has a girl with her. Logan asks you again, since she has a girl with her? And who is this girl, who claims to be my daughter? Please take her away from me since my friend wants to steal from me. I don't want this, I'll give you $50,000 in exchange. Logan doesn't want to do this. And the nurse seems mysterious to him. But he needed money and agrees. She offers him $2,000 in advance. And informs him that when he gets to her, he'll get $3,000. Logan returns to the same place the next day. However, he notices that the nurse has been murdered. And returns to his home, and the businessman pursues him all the way to his home. He had given his visiting card to Logan. He tells him that the nurse has called you and has taken her work. But I told you to tell me anything she asks. But you didn't tell me, and where is the girl she gave you? He sends his men to inspect his home. As they all go in, the girl comes out. She'd killed the man who'd gone to investigate the house. They start shooting at the girl, and she fights back. Logan notices that her hands are the same iron hand that he possesses. The girl starts fighting with the businessman's men. Logan also assists her and fights alongside his men. Later, he gets in his car with the girl and the old mutant. And then there was the young mutant. The businessman's associates take him with them. They begin to ask what Logan is doing nowadays. And you can sense a mutation surrounding. So work for us, but the mutant rejects doing this. When the businessman exposes him to the sun, his skin begins to burn. He also mentions Logan's desire to disguise himself as a mutant. The young mutant has been forced to work for him. Later, we show Logan driving a car and picking up the nurse's phone. She'd made some videos in which she narrates her story. That no mutant children have been born as of yet. So this corporation hires some female employees. They take mutant DNA and put it into these girls. Later on, they start expecting and having children. They begin training mutants as soon as they are born. These mutant babies, however, do not act like true mutants. As a result, it was decided to murder them all. And new mutants will be generated as a result of new experiments. A few nurses later assisted these children in fleeing. One of the girls is the one that the nurse refers to as her daughter. They continue on their way, Logan driving. They stay at a hotel at night. Later, he checks the girl's bag, which included her documents. When he looks at her, he notices that the DNA she possesses is none other than Logan's. It denotes that this is Logan's daughter. She shares many characteristics with me. That is why I feel a sense of familiarity with her. That he'd agree to assist her. Later on, he comes across an X-Men comic. When he checks, he notices that a number has been written there. That was a location's address. All of the mutants were claimed to have been saved there. It was the location where the nurse has requested to send this girl. Logan discovers that no such place exists in reality. Later, all of the shopkeepers come to a halt. And the entire area begins to shake. Meanwhile, Logan discovers that the old man has attacked. So, he goes there and injected him. Meanwhile, the businessman arrives there again. From there, Logan takes the old man and the small girl. They pass across a family on the way, whose horses have run away and they are unable to control them. Because you're pretty powerful, the old man requests Logan to assist him. Logan assists them and maintains control over their horses. They offered them a dinner because the family was so nice. They also offer him to stay because you've been exhausted. They visit that family, but later that night, a fresh mutant X-24 from that organization comes. And he kills everyone, including the sleeping old mutant. Meanwhile, he was about to kidnap the small girl. Meanwhile, Logan notices him and engages him in a fight. Both Iron Paws emerge and engage in combat with one another. Because X-24 was newly created and powerful, he was able to win. Logan was wounding him, and he was healing. Logan's injuries, on the other hand, were taking a long time to heal. The car in which X-24 arrived was driven by the same young man. He was Logan's friend and he was also locked up. When he notices Logan is being attacked and that others may attack, he throws some bombs and kills them all after risking his life. Logan attacks X-24 when he finds him on the other side, but he fights. The owner of this car has been discovered to be still alive. He tosses X-24 towards another car after forcing him out of his car. He plows the car from him, which has sharp edges. The sharp edges traverse his body when they come across it. And when the owner of the car emerges from the car, kills him by fire. He becomes ragged when he stares at Logan. Because his family has died as a result of him. He starts shooting at him, but his rifles run out of bullets. He collapses and dies there because he was broken-hearted and injured. Logan was now alone, and the little child was also present. He takes the old mutant's body and sets out on his next journey. He then goes ahead and buries the body. And he was depressed, telling his daughter that he had been a nice mutant. He helped a lot of children and offered them a place to live. He was accepted into school. So they have become decent person and forget that they're mutants. He's no longer with us today. He was quite injured and that he couldn't start the car. He afterward starts breaking his car with shovel. Though, he faints after some time he wakes up. He was in the hospital with the small girl. He was driven here by the girl. And they later sat in their car again. The girl expresses her desire to go where the nurse has requested. He is shocked when he sees the girl since she is speaking for the first time. Later, he tries to explain to her that it only appears in comic books. Such places do not exist in reality, and they have no significance. When the female replies no, it exits. And my friends are forced to come here. Logan had to force himself to drive the car, and he was tired. As a result, he passes out, and the girl resumes driving. Eventually arriving at the destination. He passes out as soon as he gets there. When he wakes up, he witnesses a large group of mutant children. They were all different in terms of power and energy. They turn him upside down and start injecting a serum into him. Logan inquires, "What is this serum, and where did you obtain it?" They claim that this serum gives them energy. He claims that if you take too much of it, you will die or go insane. One of the boys says, "Don't worry, its small amount increases our energy." When Logan gets out of bed in the morning, he sees some boys peering through a microscope on the opposite side of the mountain, and asks, "What are you looking for there?" On the other side, the child says, "Is Canada. We'll save our lives if we go there. And if you take us there, we'll save our lives and give you money." Logan doesn't take money nor listen to them. The same girl approaches Logan late at night and asks, "Why aren't you going with us?" He tells her to stand by their side while he stands by his. "What will happen if you join us?" the girl asks. Logan claims that whoever I cared about may be taken away from me. "I can't come with you. I adore you and don't want to lose you since you're my daughter." She goes by saying it's fine if nothing will happen to me. He wakes up the next morning to find no one there. All of the children have left. And he looks across the mountain with the same microscope. He doesn't see the kids, indicating that they've arrived. They were being pursued by cars belonging to the same company that intends to kill the mutant children. He walks, and as he progresses, he notices that his energy level is dwindling. He injects the serum he was given by the mutant kids. He injects a large amount of it and becomes extremely powerful. He starts killing everyone in that organization. They opened fire on him, but his wounds were healing up slowly. After proceeding, he discovers that the serum's effect gets diminishing. And he's becoming weaker. And he notices that they've captured some mutant kids. They point the pistol at the kid, who observes and tells about Canada using a microscope. Later, the organization's boss arrives. He was the genius behind it all, and how long had he planned it? He was an excellent doctor. And he informs Logan of this, so why he is pursuing him? "When you were made mutant, you had to flee. And it was my father who turned you mutant. And you were the one who killed him. Now I'm pursuing you for revenge, and not only that. I'm going to kill all of the mutant kids." Logan pulls out his rifle and fires a single shot into his throat. He also harmed the business's hands. Meanwhile, X-24 enters the scene and begins fighting. Later, the mutant children and the girl. They started fighting with the businessman and his associates. Logan was being beaten by X-24's iron paws after coming on him. In the meantime, the small girl appears and shoots him in the head. X-24 would have killed Logan if she hadn't done this. Later, she approaches Logan and says, "Let's go, I'll take you with me." When Logan emerges, he informs his daughter, "You may go from here, I've been injured now. And don't let them turn you into the mutant they want you to be. And forget about the training." The girl refuses to go. She says, "You're my daddy, and I'd like to accompany you." Logan smiles after listening to this, because he enjoys hearing the word daddy come out of her mouth. For the first time, he regrets his inability to live. He is unable to live with his daughter. Meanwhile, he dies, and the little girl sobs uncontrollably. And all of the mutants bury Logan together. They were all crying and depressed. Logan's grave was marked with a cross. And the girl drew an X after everyone goes there. The film story ends with this.